Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're new around here, hit that like button, subscribe. We're going to do this live because I've recorded it 3 times and my laptop has pooped itself every time, which is, it's really nice. It's nice of it to do. So let me know if you're in chat and how you're doing. I hope everyone is splendid. Just editing some stuff and just putting a post up so you all know I'm live, and then we will crack straight into it. But welcome everyone. I will be with you in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. So obviously we've got a big game, well, big-ish for us, because it means that we actually start some real football, don't we? We're not hypotheticalizing the game. We're actually looking forward to it. So I'm really looking forward to this because I asked you guys and girls to give me 5 things you're looking for, and some of you gave some great answers, so that should be gross. So let me just make one more post and then I will be all yours. But chills, good day to you, Brandon, Lou, Adrian. So yeah, we're having a big change up in the Pommy and Oz studio. We're going to have sit-down couches. The background's going to be good. I've got something really sexy I'm building for behind here. I'm actually moving forward. I can't show you in front of me, but there is a heap of shite there. This is like the outhouse. So this is actually going to have, you're going to have a real-life thunderstorm happening behind me. We've got a load of memorabilia. I've just picked up a 2008 Carlton signed team photo, and then this side there's going to be loads of stuff. Got loads of exciting things planned next year. Well, this year we're hoping to have a lot more studio guests as well, so there's going to be a new series starting where I'll get people from football, people from sport. They're going to come in and chat some shite, so stay tuned for that. So Pommy and Oz is going to be a full-on studio, so I hope we're all good. So let's get straight into it. Anyway, let's get straight into the game. So I do want to start this because I keep specifying that we can't take these games too seriously, because if you actually look at the AFL website, tomorrow's game is a simulation. Now, the Oxford definition of our great language is the action of pretending or deception. And next week is a practice, and practice by definition is the actual application of an idea, belief or method, as opposed to a theory relating to it. So that being said, what we're looking for is more of a hypothetical. It's not going to be real. It's going to be an exaggeration. So g'day Blue AFL, Adrian, mate. My wife's looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it, Libbo, mate. I reckon I'll be it. It looks like I'm in a sauna. It feels like it as well. If you're a pasty white pom, 36 degrees tomorrow, and it's probably about 85 in here. So that's gross, isn't it? But let's get into it. So a lot of you were absolutely splendid, and my number one thing I'm looking for tomorrow is, based on the exaggeration, is their ability to remove the ball from D50 in transition. I think that's the biggest thing that separates us from the great sides in the AFL. Sarah says, the lovely says, Adrian Gisara, I hope I've not massacred that. He said that, Webby said that, Ash Gallagher said that, Guy Incognito, and I have a dream stuck inside my head. So let's have a look at what we mean by that. So as you can see here, a good mate of mine sent me this because he said that my other one was pants. So when we play teams like Geelong, and I'm really looking forward to this, you'll see this is a very similar setup. So you'll see the red. What they genuinely do in these red areas is they set like a trap. So they condense the forward line, taking away the mid-short options. They protect the wings, but then they encourage the corridor kick, because ultimately if you turn it over with this forward pressure. Now Carlton get it to here quite well, and genuinely here now what will happen is Carlton, because of Ash Hansen, they're trying to, it ends up here if it's not quick, right? But because of Ash Hansen, he's got a great knowledge of forward lines, and we saw it with the Doggies, and now he's in the tactics area. They have a good understanding of zones. So what you see happen is players move like this. So what that means is one will move to the pocket, and then the big guy will move from the wing, and Saad will move across in that corridor run, as you saw here. So if you see this one here, see that will move there, and then Saad will move here, or maybe Doc will move here. And from this position here, what you're looking for is an inside-out handball, or a quick kick to this guy here as it naturally wavers away. Genuinely what happens though, Carlton are quite slow and they don't have the balls to react, or they don't have the vigour. And a real good example of this is Essendon last year. Lewis Young got caught out here. This is usually Whittaker or the centre-half back. It needs to be quick, and if Carlton miss that inlet ball, that handball to pace, they get quagged here. And we know what happens. The booming kick comes here. Everyone's set up for this ball to come back in. So what I'm looking for here is these exaggerated zone runs. So you see Carlton, and a good team to watch is Adelaide. And if you watch my preview for Adelaide and GWS, we talked about the diagonal run. They get to this position here, right? And then and they're quite happy to go backwards. So when you see Adelaide play and GWS, they're quite happy to go backwards and shift the zone and then go out that way very quickly. I am really looking at Carlton being hungry without the ball, and that is a big problem in our back half of the ground. And a really good example of that, I think, where it went tits up quickly was, do you remember last year when we played Brisbane, and we absolutely got destroyed in them second half particularly, and they hemorrhaged us in. The slow ball movement came in, and that is it. And for me, I'm looking for them over exaggerated runs. So I'm not looking at the results, I'm not looking at anything else, I'm looking at over exaggerated running patterns. So this time in round 0, we've got a really good indicator that Carlton are going to be a bit more bold, and that just requires more balls, but it requires us to be active. And my big complaint about Carlton versus, let's say, Brisbane and Collingwood, because they're the two sides that are better than us because they made the finals, they are so active without the ball. And you saw it today where it was a very simulation for Collingwood, but their activity without the ball is what creates them options, particularly against the forward press. And teams like Brisbane, GWS, Adelaide in particular play such a heavy, dangerous forward press that Carlton struggle. So that is my number one concern. And Brandon, who's your top 5 supporters who has the most passion? I'm going to be bold. I reckon I'm number 1. Bold. Tez will be there. Lake Dog's quite passionate. Joe is quite passionate. Gets a bit mental, gets a bit Larry. Great at Carlton, Damian Lancaster. He's a hard case when he plays. Probably more passionate than me. Miles more passionate than me. That guy is mental. I think everyone though is. I think on the whole, Carlton are passionate. So tough one. Good question though. First G was cracked. See, look, Jasara. Hey, they are. Hey, fluent. But that's something that I'm looking for. Carlton's ability to transition the ball, and for me, it's about being active without the ball. I think you've got to get busy without the ball. And Matt Duffy, when we interviewed him, he said that that's his biggest strength, being busy without the ball, because it creates opportunities further down the ground. And that leads me on to the second one. I have a dream. Rob Thomas mentioned it as well. Am I in a sauna? Feels like it, but no, I'm not. I'm in the outhouse. We're redeveloping, so stay tuned. It should be about a week, 2 weeks. Depends how quick I am with the power tools. But Thomas mentioned this. This is a big one for me, and it's part of part 1. It's, can Carlton get better shots at goal? Now, the big bugbear with me is Carlton really lack a good method of getting into getting deeper and getting better ones. And for me, the big issue is we don't have a Bailey Fritz type player. And our best player at doing this role is Jack Martin or Jack Silvani. We've lost both of them. Martin should return, but we've lost Jesus. So this is a big opportunity for Ashton Moore. And he's got a very good advantage, because what Bailey does well, and this is, you'll notice this with Carlton, when Carlton gets to halfway, two issues are apparent. One, our keys are genuinely on the wing, right? Genuinely on the wing, right? They're genuinely at that stage, so we haven't got that target inside 50. If you watch a team that are really good at transition, Collingwood, they'll sacrifice a player like Ash Johnson or someone of that ilk, and they'll leave Majacek in the full forward right half. So they have got that target. Carlton genuinely do that. Now, when Carlton have done well, right, what Carlton have done well in a weird situation was going back to 2022, Voss's first season, where TDK was deployed in this role with Whittaker as them exits, and that was when we were only playing with one key, and that really was successful because you got the target. The other option is the leading patterns in the forward half don't really give you good entries. So Carlton are kicking traditionally from very risky areas or low percentile plays. Now, what Bailey Fritz does really well, and there's a player that we're going to talk about here, Ashton has got a chant, El Pash, so hopefully we get to hear it tomorrow. Bailey Fritz makes a very good dummy run. So he runs towards the pocket when the ball is on halfway. And then you actually see him go out of bounds quite often and pivots back. And what that does is creates that little extra kick inside 50, right? So that is the big thing. That is the big thing that I'm looking for. Can Ashton step up and do that? He's very clever. He's very, very clever at doing that in his junior years. But also Elijah Hollands, if you go back and watch the VFL Grand Final, but particularly when he played Carlton's VFL, he killed our halfbacks by being so tricky and being that extra kick. And that is something that I'm really curious about. Are Carlton going to change angles on entries? Because Carlton get very one-dimensional on their entries. And partly that's because of their obsession with kicking to Harry Mackay. Part of it's their obsession with kicking to Charlie Kerner. And it becomes very static. You don't see them pocket leads. You don't see them pocket leads. Mate, I'm out west. Go west, where the streets are grey. Billy Idol's I Want Man. I was going with, do you remember the song Macho Man? There's a sneak preview, you know. Macho, Macho Man. That's what we're looking for. That's the tune of his chant. So that's what I'm looking for. Can Carlton change the angle, change the entry, get a more decisive entry as well? Because at times it's very one-dimensional. And that leads me on to my third, and I thought this was a great discussion. Chiefs Nation dropped this one, right? Which I think is incredibly good, right? Incredibly good. And that was Carlton's ability to control a game. And I think against Brisbane, again as an example, shows Carlton at their best and their worst. Carlton, for me, are very two-paced. Manic or static. And it's about getting busy without the ball. And I want to see Carlton's ability to control games. Because you can't go manic all the time. And Collingwood are another good example for Carlton to watch. People talk about them winning games 2 years ago in tight margins, saying you can't win a flag. There's no such thing as unsustainable football, right? No way that there's no such thing. If you're good at it, it becomes sustainable. Sustainability is a product of past performance. So, for me, when I look at Carlton, it's going to be very hard and very labour intensive to play Route 1 football all game. All game. However, Carlton are going to have to find a way to take the shot clock down. Now, Collingwood are very clever at this. What Collingwood do is they are one of the teams with the most touches inside the forward half of the ground, right? The big thing for me is, hey, Chills, I'm 100%. 100%. I'll definitely be in touch because we've got a load of stuff we need. But when you watch Carlton, their slowing down is usually kicking backwards and inviting pressure. And when you saw Brisbane, They invited the pressure, they got pummeled. They were slow, they were lethargic, they become very static. What I want to see, Carlton, is start to control the ball in the safe areas. And we've got the good building blocks of this. Our forward pressure last year was very good. Creating repeat entries could be an area of this. And this is what prime Richmond did very well in their tight situations. 2017, like says, very entertaining for Richmond as well. It was either brilliant or shit. You didn't see the halfway. What you did see with Richmond was in the second year, when the dynasty started to build in the third year, was their ability to just lock it into the forward half. And they controlled the game from that avenue. And they almost toyed with the opposition. That's Carlton need to get to. And that is what I'm looking for this game. Can Carlton use a quarter to take the piss? It will be, George. We have got a very famous Carlton podcast YouTuber is joining the panel too, George. Thank you very much. It's my favourite show. So that's what I'm looking for this year. Their ability to do that. Their ability. Is there going to be something in these next two games where we see an element of Carlton are getting a bit of risk factor, but also a bit of risk control? Because that, for me, I wouldn't say it's unsustainable. I think it's very labour intensive to win a flag. You've got to be able to control it. I think the Brisbane game was a great example. Being able to take something off the game to win the game. Because then you can choose your moments. And that's something when I look at Collingwood, and particularly Brisbane as well, their ability to go up a gear when the other team has burned energy trying to get the ball back will only benefit the hit, miss, hit, bash, crash style that we have. Option 4 as well, and Blue AFL, brilliant, you put the team in, is, and this was mentioned quite a bit, is for me, where are Carlton's goals coming from? We know that we've got the two towers who kick goals for Bants, but for me, I think Carlton really need to have some more goals from midfield and create a little bit more of uncertainty. I think the finals really showcased for me the risk element involved with being a one-horse team for the majority of the goals. It allows Charlie and Harry, when Harry was kicking bags and won the Coleman, to really stifle Carlton's ability to kick goals. Now, I look and I think there's hope, because we know Always was the top goal kicker for the small guys. We know Motlop wasn't far behind him, right? I think there's hope there that Motlop can be a 2-goal-a-game player. 27 from 18 was Always, 24 from 21 from Motlop. I think Motlop's already more well-rounded because he's got the defensive craft and the goal-sneak ability. But for me, one of them smalls has to be on 30. Harry's a 40 player at worst, right? So there already we've gained 16 goals, give or take. Matt Cottrell, 11 from 17, is fantastic. That's what I'm expecting. But for me, this is where my worry is. 9 from 24 from Cripper, 9 from 22 from Chesney, 6 from 18 from Walsh. One of these midfielders needs to get into the high teens, low 20s and higher. And they've got the capability, and this is one thing that I'm looking for with the group we've got now, right? Doc particularly, he gets them goals. He gets them goals and he takes it. They need to press the trigger. Do you know what I mean? When you watch Carlton play, and I was watching round 18 and round 19 the other day, they seem reluctant to pull the trigger, and you can see they go to do it, but then they ease back. One of them needs a license to thrill. Now, for me, I feel like it's Walsh. I feel like Walsh is that man. But looking at the team tomorrow, I feel like there's a real interesting subplot, in my opinion, that no one's talking about. And I'll tell you for why. It's really exciting for me that we don't have Walsh there. I think that's a really exciting thing. Because I feel like there's a couple of dark horses in this team that we don't talk about. Now, the team tomorrow is Lockie Cowan, Jesse Motlop, Ollie Hollands. Ollie Hollands, for me, needs to add goals to his game. I feel like that's the next level. We saw his ability to create in his junior year. He wasn't a massive goal kicker, but he was always in the opportunity. I'd like to see him pull the trigger a little bit more. Adam Cherry is definitely someone I'm looking at. The other guy I'm looking at that no one's talked about is Lockie Fogarty, who plays tomorrow. I feel like Fogarty's got all the defensive craft. he's definitely a guy that I'm looking for to take the opportunities because he gets himself in the positions. TDK is definitely someone that I'm looking at as well. I think we know Jesus and know Jack Martin. He is going to have to spend a bit of time forward, and I'm hoping to see that tomorrow. Arazio Fantasia, I think instantly is an Owies replacement. We won't see him. And in my opinion, I love Matty Owies. Arazio is probably a natural killer off of a game. Blake Acres, we know, pops up with a goal. Sam Doherty, we know, can do it. Jack Carroll, for me, is a guy that I'm going to be really watching. He's playing both games. But the big one for me is Elijah Hollands. I saw he is, without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite junior footballer I have ever seen. And Luca nails it, and so with Lemmy. We're coming on to him. I feel like he is the missing ingredient because his junior career, he was the best, my favourite player. I fell in love with how Elijah played. He's got very weird runs. he plays taller than he is, but he's also very good at taking off from the mark and doing it. So he's one that I'm looking at. Just to go through that team as well, as long with Elijah, we are going to see Nick Newman. David Cunningham is another guy that I feel like has to add goals to his game. He's a guy that I'm looking at that needs to go to the next level. George Hewitt, I'm not expecting goals for him. Charlie Kerner, Harry Lemmy, this is a real weird one. He's played in both of the games tomorrow. I feel like Harry Lemmy is going to get a point at one point in time. Now, we talked about the issue with key forwards getting caught in transition quite a bit. Harry Lemmy could be something that Carlton look at. We know that Carlton have confirmed Harry is still doing the pinch hitting in the ruck. Be interesting if Harry Lemmy gets that gig, particularly in the VFL. It's a watch this space for me of does he play that lead up forward, because I think he's still a little bit undersized to play the key position. Very traditional. The Dogs are the masters of this, of playing a key position player as that third hit up player. And I see a little bit of Ash Johnson in Harry Lemmy of how he could start his AFL career, being in that more cosy position but giving Carlton options. Lewis Young's playing a lot. He's going to rely on him now. Marchbank's out. Jordan Boyd, Alex Chincotta is playing both. Sardi, Ashton Moore is playing both, and Matty Cottrell. But for me, goals. Lucas, spot on. 0.5 for me is not good enough for a man of his ability, and I think he'd admit that himself. So he could be El Paso. Can you imagine it, bro? Peter V. Cripps definitely is going to be that guy that looks. But for me, I'm looking, can Carlton add some more dimensions? Because when I look at teams like Collingwood, Brisbane, GWS, the spread of goals is so sparse that anyone can hurt you. My critique of Carlton would be finals were an anomaly because people kept Cripps and kept Mr. Kerno quiet. That's got to be the benchmark, though. You've got to spread the goals and make it harder, which creates better leads, which creates better challenges. And the final thing that I'm looking for, and a lot of you mentioned this, nearly all of you did, is who steps up. So with that list there's a few names here that we're going to just pick on that I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued to see play. The big one for me is Lockie Cowan. Now, bear with me. I think Marchbank is going to be probably missing round 0, maybe round 1. It was a very ambiguous statement with Carlton, with how long he's out for. Now, we know he likes to play that third tall. We know he's got a bit of zip. Do Carlton stick to the mandate? And do they play a big tall guy, which would be Whittaker, but he's going to be Lewis Young in this example? And do they go Kemp, McGovern, and keep the system that worked well last year and bring Lockie Cowan in? Play in the back pocket and use his booming kick. Because suddenly then Carlton have a dimension. It allows Dog to stay in the midfield, which we've heard that he's going to be 60-20-20 forward and back. Is that an option that Carlton look at? Because that would give them a real big dimension, I think, of change, of a big booming kick. So if you do have that wing kick, my issue with the wing kick is sometimes it's too shallow. So if it is turned over, it's one kick away. Cowan can clear his lines quite well. That could be an intriguing matchup, and he's a player that I feel like now we're going to have to see what his role is. Lucas Spawn, he could be an option. Do you know what I mean? It'd be interesting because we don't see Zachy Williams, which makes me sad. Do you know what I mean? So that's going to be, it's going to be it. G'day Team Hello, how you doing, my kiddo? How you doing? So that's going to be one that I'm looking at. Them two that player there playing tomorrow and playing the seniors only, for me, is a very intriguing proposition. The other player that I'm really looking at, we've covered him, is Lockie Fogarty. I feel like there is a small forwards. Now one's going to get pushed out, because for me, I feel like Orazio is playing round 1, right? Round 0, whatever it's called. For me, Fogarty is the one that's forgotten. I feel like he is a round 0 player. But for Fogarty to play, that means Fantasia is going to have to be the goal kicker, which then puts pressure for me on Motlop. I want to see Motlop go that next gear, because we know he's sneaky. Jack Carroll is one that I'm really intrigued about, because at this stage now, he's probably got the best opportunity. There is no doubt he's going to be the king man. He's going to be the major man. Billy Wilson's been heavily talked about. He's only playing VFL. Obviously, this is a show of faith for Carlton that they see him with no Kennedy, and it's quite sad that Bam Bam's not there. Don't know if that's injury related. It's not on the injury report, so that's speculation. But that says to me that Jack Carroll's preferred as the next Dow. He's going to be the next cab in. Jack Carroll, for me, is so important he can find some form, because he's that happy hybrid that we don't have. Elijah is really important in this game, because he won't be there round 0, but he's someone that I'm looking. He's someone I'm looking at. What illness has he got? No one's. It didn't say. It just said post-viral. So it's really ambiguous. It's really ambiguous. It actually makes me upset that we don't. There was no real time frame as well. It was one of them time frames that just says that we'll reassess it, which does make me worry that we're probably not going to see him in Melbourne, and that would then sedate. If he's in Melbourne, for me, he can't play round 0. So that's why I think Cowan, like Sir says, I want to see where he is. I want to see where he is. Luke, I agree. His pressure game is locked in. He's another one of them players that I watched a lot of them games, round 18, round 19, round 20, where he feels like he's holding back on me. Like, I want him to press the trigger. And I feel like that's an evolution of the Blues. You've got to go. You've got to take it on. You've got to be selfish. I'm with you, George. I really want to see Marty Kennedy. And I think this just shows us, if it's not an injury, he's not preferred. We saw him at halfback last year. We saw him everywhere. Obviously, Carlton don't see him there, and I feel like this would have been a great opportunity to see him. But they're the 5 things that I'm looking for. So, in summary, I'm looking for leading patterns and leading lanes. I'm looking for entries inside 50. That is a big one for me. I'm looking at which young players are going to take their opportunity and what their roles are. I'm looking at Carlton's ability to contain and slow the game down and play it on their terms. Particularly looking for these games where I want them to hold the ball in the forward half of the ground, not play this tick-a-tacker type nonsense in the back half, because that makes my bum twitch. And the big one for me, real big one for me for Carlton, and I feel like it has to be done, is we have a spread of goal kickers. Have an ability to change it up and really worry. But stay tuned. We've got loads coming up on the channel, chat. It's great to see you as well. This is our first live of the season, so it was impromptu. Technical difficulties, which is always good. But it's great. I've missed you all. It's being live is my favourite thing, because it's good fun. But tomorrow we've got the watch along, so come and stay tuned for that. Friday we've got a pre-recorded video, Collingwood and Bombers depth. Saturday we've got the members only live, so if you are a member, links in the description to that. You're going to have 2 this month as well, 2 in March, because we've got a big draft profile as well, which will be released, a condensed version a bit later on in March for non-members. And then Sunday we've got a new show starting, Pommy Ponders Live. We have a rotating guest. You'll have a new guest every week from the AFL community. We've got Jesse from True Footy on Sunday, so we will be chatting and having some fun with that. The selection table starts as well. We will be probably doing a selection table for round 0, so stay tuned for that. I'll speak to the boys. I was thinking that we have got a new co-host, so stay tuned for that. Real big guest. Stay tuned for the announcement for that. I can't wait to see that. But thank you very much for joining me. I love you all. Peace, love, light. Look after yourselves. Can't wait to see you tomorrow if you're tuning in. But stay tuned, and we'll get a review out for the game. We'll probably record it live during the watch along. and then we'll edit it up and send it out to you. But peace, love, light. Love you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.